Before we go any farther, I would like to know, are you truly committed to getting out of debt and staying out of debt? Or, for the most part, simply doing things to make yourself feel better about trying? Because if the latter is the case, please turn away right now. However, if you are committed, I have something that you may have never heard before, and I hope that it brings you a light bulb moment that will help you finally succeed in getting out of debt, and more importantly, staying out of debt. Okay, thanks for hanging in there with me. My name is Jerome, the creator of the podcast Why It Matters, now being called Mondays Why It Matters, given the fact that I try to upload it each Monday between 11 a.m. and 11:15 Central Time. That being said, we're going to talk about debt and the struggles that many people have with debt. What a lot of people don't realize is that much of our struggles has to do more with what's going on in the mind, more so than anything else around us. We like to blame things, other people, but in reality, how we handle debt really stems from how we view money, period. So, for instance, at the age of 15, I got my first job and I was so proud to open up a bank account that I carried my checkbook around. So, I'm dating myself. I carried my checkbook around in my back pocket throughout high school so that everyone could see that I had a bank account. So, what I'm trying to say is that as a child, I took pride in having money. There are siblings, and I think all of you probably have one or two siblings that are very good at managing money. They've never taken a class, it's just something that they were instinctively good at. And that is what this whole video is about. It's about changing your mindset, which is going to be far more difficult than simply following steps or going through seminars, because the mindset is really going to determine your success when it comes to how you manage money. A good example is this. We all know that at the first of each year, there's a spike in gym membership. There's a spike in the number of members that attend church. And every year, like clockwork, around April, if not sooner, maybe March, attendance in church falls right back off. Membership attendance falls dramatically off. Why? Because the thought of doing it superseded the actual will that was required in order to be successful and stay with it. That is what managing money is all about. If you're not a good natural money manager, you're going to always have a struggle. So, how you change that mindset determines how successful you're going to be. So, the question is, how do you change the mindset? First of all, you got to acknowledge that I am a piss poor manager when it comes to money. Let's get that out the way. Then you may want to go to a sibling and speak with that sibling to see what it is that they do to stay out of debt. That is if you have a sibling. Here's the thing about instructing people online, me being one. It's not really fair for me to tell you what I do that works for me and expect for that to work for you, even if you try. Why? Because in all honesty, you're not going to stick with it because it is not who you are. So therefore, I'm not going to tell you what I do because for me, it comes natural. Again, I started at the age of 15, created a budget at the age of 16, and have followed that budget throughout my entire life. I know where every penny of my money is spent and have known that since the beginning, since age 15. I do not have a house note, do not have a car note. I own my home, I own my cars. I have very little debt, primarily because of my budget. Most people cannot stick to a budget unless they are determined. I know of people that can stop drinking alcohol, even though they were heavy drinkers. In many cases, may have been considered alcoholics, but were able to stop drinking point blank on their own. Did not have to attend AA meetings or anything. I know of people that were diagnosed with 6 weeks to live. and live an extra 15 to 20 years. Some may be still alive. Why? Because the mindset, they were able to have faith and commitment that they did not have to die because of a diagnosis. The mind is going to be the key to your success. No video, no seminar, no book. Your mind. You have to be able to convince yourself that you can do this and that your back is against the wall. Because in many cases, your back is against the wall if you don't get control of it. So the bottom line is this: you're going to have to figure out how to convince yourself in the mind that you can do this. A good way you can probably approach this is one, maybe going to church if you don't go to church already, and starting to have faith in a higher power can help. I think that for the most part, that has had more success with me than anything. Is just simply having faith that someone is watching over me and is going to make sure that I don't fall too far. Having the confidence that you're not going to fall when you're on the edge goes a long way. So, church could be a good place to start, more so, believe it or not, than a seminar. A seminar can teach you the ropes, but it's not going to change your habits. Even as hard as you try, if you're of a certain age. Now, if I'm speaking to someone who's younger, that may be different. But once you hit a certain age and that pattern of life has set in, it's going to be hard to really change it unless you are determined, unless you are committed. Find something that matters so much to you that if you don't achieve it, then you're never going to feel as though you have lived up to your potential. That is a good way to put it. For instance, the person that I was telling you about that was given a diagnosis of 6 weeks to live and they were able to survive longer had family members that surrounded them with love, making her feel truly needed and that the family would fail without her. Same thing with a person who was drinking alcohol. The person may have came close to killing someone that he or she loved and realized that they were in trouble and they had to stop drinking. But the bottom line is that you have to find something that will scare you or do whatever it takes to make you change the way you think about money. You want to find something within yourself that will say enough's enough. I not only can I do this, I have to do this. Again, you will never be able to achieve your goal if your mind has not changed, if the way you think about money does not change. I cannot tell you any steps or any give you any advice that I feel would be successful until you are 100% committed to make a change in the way you think about money. You're going to have to make sacrifices you don't want to make. You're going to have to change the way you think about life, the things that you prioritize. That is the bottom line. Do you prioritize a certain car? Do you prioritize a certain place to live? What is your priority? Or do you prioritize living comfortably? For me, it was always living comfortably. I never had a goal to be a millionaire. My goal was to only live comfortably. And I prayed about it as a child. I asked God, I said, if you can put me in a position where I can be content with my bills, be content with my lifestyle, that is all I ask. And so far in life, I've been given that. Again, your priorities are going to be what your priorities are. But the bottom line is you're going to have to make sacrifices if you are now in debt. And the things that you may have to sacrifice are going to be extremely difficult. If you are a man or a woman and you're spending a lot of money in that relationship and you're not married, you might want to think about that. If you are married and you're spending a lot of money to make someone happy, you may have to think about that as well. But the bottom line is this: if you are to get out of debt, you are going to have to make sacrifices that you don't want to make. But the biggest change that you're going to have to make is going to be up here. No one else is to blame. No politician, no job, nothing. You are responsible for your debt. You, no one else. Once you come to terms with that, then you'll know that it is you and no one else who is going to have to make a change. That being said, I hope that I was able to help. Again, I live by a budget. I live by a budget religiously, but I have lived by a budget since age 15, and that was 100 years ago. I look pretty good to be 115, huh? But that being said, please take that's the only advice that I can give you is to be honest with yourself. List the things that you are prepared to give up and give them up when the time comes. Thank you, and I'll be seeing you again next Monday.